Thank you for tuning into PhillyCAM Voices. I am your host, Amanda Johnson. We begin our show with students taking a stand against gun violence in the wake of the deadly school shooting in Parkland, Florida on Valentine's Day. Last month we had 2 major protesting, and now we have Adam Bornstein with that information.
To mark the 1-month memorial of the school shooting in Parkland, Florida, students across Philadelphia participated in a nationwide walkout to honor the victims of the recent tragedy and call for changes to prevent similar incidents.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough!
I don't know, if there was somebody to talk to that kid, man. Somebody, I feel like mental therapy could have went a long way in that. If somebody was just, there to talk to him, it probably would have resulted in how it ended.
We need more security and better teachers and better schools.
The statistics of gun violence in school shootings is unacceptable to me. It people shouldn't be scared to go to school, and they shouldn't be scared to go home from school, and they shouldn't be scared to go to school. I'm out here because I've lost plenty of people to gun violence, and it's just, I'm tired. I'm tired physically, emotionally, and mentally.
In planning the protest, schools across the country agreed to grant their students 17 minutes for a walkout. Yet, for many Philadelphia high schoolers, the epidemic of school shootings demanded a stronger response than 17 minutes for 17 lives.
In my school, they had came and got most of the students individually. They actually got our security guards and pushed them into the school. Yeah. And they said if we don't go back to the school, we gonna get suspended, but they can't do that.
They gave us a set time, and they said if we wasn't in class, that we would face consequences, or not face consequences, but they wanted us back in class by a certain time, and that's not a protest. Allowing us to do something isn't a protest. So being out here after the fact, that's the protest. The 17 minutes was for the students, but giving us a set time, that's not a protest. That's allowing us to do something, and that's not the definition of a protest.
So anybody who tells you that you will be suspended for protesting is lying. They are not allowed to suspend you for protesting. That is your right.
Despite the threat of consequences, and guided by the reassurances of the Philadelphia Student Union, hundreds of high schoolers successfully marched to City Hall in an attempt to make their voices heard and take their future in their own hands.
All I see is hatred in the street, discrimination towards your own race, towards your own people, killing, people dying every day. Why do I have to go home and fear that I'm going to get shot in my own house? People, we need a change. We need a change, and it needs to happen now. We can't wait till later. We need a change for ourselves and for our family and for our friends and for our country. We do not offer opportunities here in America. We are dictated by other people that we put in power. But today, we are making a change for the schools, for the kids who get shot up on a daily basis. We are the change. Are we not? 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 No! Now let's walk in that pride to let them know we ain't that. And we ain't taking that. And we ain't dealing with none of that.
For PhillyCAM Voices, this is Adam Bornstein and Ali Abdel Mohsen.
Joining me now is Jamya Johnson, who participated in the student walkout, and she also participated in the roundtable that was coordinated by Councilwoman Helen Gim about mental health services. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I know that you were asked to come to the roundtable to discuss mental health services. Talk to us about why is that important?
Well, I think that mental health services are important in children and in schools because of everything that happens in schools. So in schools, school systems, children have to deal with a lot of things, such as stress. Some of these things are even caused by homework, different things like that, schoolwork, the workload that teachers give you, the certain classes that you have, time management, and everything like that. So I think that mental health is very important to keep track of in schools.
Okay. So when you say mental health, is that something that is addressed in the special education units, or are they two separate things?
No, mental health is like a status. So when we talk about mental health, we want to talk about it in retrospect along with physical health. You don't just go to the doctor when you're sick. You go to the doctor every month or every 2 months or so. So that's what we want to try to have and able to ensure good mental health in all of our students. It's a certain status that every student has, everybody has. You have a mental health status, I have a mental health status, and it doesn't necessarily have to be to the point where it's mental illness. We just want to keep it from there.
Gotcha. That's I love your point of view. Now, if these are the things that need to take place, are there enough teachers and counselors to implement something like this?
Right now, I don't think so. I don't think that it is a possibility right now because of the lack of support that it actually has. People just believe that mental health is just something that only occurs, or mental illness, that something only occurs when school shootings happen or when somebody is sick, but it happens in everybody. And decreasing mental health, which occurs when there isn't enough time or when there isn't enough services to help someone with mental health issues, then that is what happens when the programs that we need aren't really focused on here in schools.
So do you think that with the bullying campaign, are they even scratching the surface dealing with, is that going to be like a start of moving forward with the mental health? Since kids are being traumatized by bullying, it kind of snowballs into the same thing. Are they even scratching the surface dealing with the mental issue of that?
I don't think so, because really mental health is in everyone. We want to ensure that mental health is looked at in all students, in all young people, in everyone, so that something that occurs would not happen, because mental health is looked at in every aspect. So,
all right, so before we go, can you give us some feedback on what you feel should be happening towards mental health?
Towards mental health, I believe that what should be happening is respect. I think that is what needs to be put into place. I think that everyone needs to love and respect each other. I also believe that there should be proactive programs that help students. I don't think that there should be any programs after the fact, like after the school shootings. I believe that there needs to be something to help our kids now, because everyone has a mental health status, and everyone's can be decreasing as we speak.
All right, well, Jamya, thank you so much for giving us that insight and information. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Just about 10 days after the student walkout, thousands of students went out for gun control in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia areas for the March of Our Lives movement. Reporter Candace Mitchell was at the march on Columbus Boulevard.
Hi, my name is Candace Mitchell, and I'm here for PhillyCAM. We're here live at the March for Our Lives. As you can see, there are people all around me trying to get their points across as far as gun violence is concerned and as far as gun control is concerned in our school systems and in our communities.
I'm actually asking our elected officials to hear the voice of all these people who came out today. Clearly we have something to talk about, we have issues to discuss, and it shouldn't be about who's putting money in whose pockets. It shouldn't be about what agendas are being passed. It should be about the fact that students go to school to learn.
I go to school for kids with dyslexia because I'm dyslexic. And I feel like that everyone, no matter what school they go to, should feel like they should walk around and be safe. We need to keep our neighborhoods safe. We need to keep our city safe.
It shouldn't be as easy as it is to get a gun. You know, you can go into a store really easily. And I feel like there's stronger laws and stricter laws for more basic things.
Kind of on the other side of things, you're trying to work and get our communities safer. In what ways are you doing that?
Focus on taking action, meaning getting votes preceded by debates on the floor of the United States Senate. So we can have a debate and a vote on background checks, have a debate and a vote on a limitation on the high-capacity magazines, debate and vote on a measure to ban military-style assault weapons, to go down a list of bills that can have an impact on this issue. But I have to say, these marchers today, young people from across this city and this region, have done more in a few weeks sometimes than Congress does in several years.
Today has been, for me, a success. I feel empowered. I believe the people feel empowered. People are really trying to get their points across. And as we come to a close, I really want you guys to see that these people are really trying to get their points across. No more guns. The NRA has to step in and do something. Our elected officials have to step in and do something. Thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. Make your way down here if you can and join in with the protest, books, not bullets. Thank you. And once again, bye.
Joining me now is Gigi Peterkin and Serita Lewis from the March for Our Lives Philadelphia. Yes. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks for having
You were
us.
marching and representing. Talk to us about the march. Just give us some little bit of information.
The march was unreal.
It was crazy.
Just went so fast. So you were on the ground. So she was on the ground at the march, and I was on the ground at the rally. So
yeah.
take
So
us
I
down
actually I was in charge of volunteer engagement for the day, as well as we working with fundraising and everything kind of in between, and just kind of helping out. Gigi took care of all of our PR stuff, and we had 10,000 people. We started out like 10,000 plus people for the day kind of showed up. So it was awesome.
That sounds like an awesome crowd of people. So how are you planning to keep this momentum going?
Well, we're doing our best to stay in lockstep with the national movement, as well as, you know, keeping our eyes on Philadelphia, because this is our turf and we really want to make sure we're serving the community. But to keep in step with national, we are going to be doing a town hall this Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. at the
Church of the Advocate in North Philly at 18th and Diamond
Street. And we've invited everybody from the governor on down to city council district reps. And we're looking forward to a really good conversation. And we're going to be doing voter registration on site there. We plan to keep that as part of our momentum going forward.
Yeah. So when you have these rallies, you're definitely going to say, hey, register to vote, because they're changing the rules and they're dropping people down, and some people don't even know that they're not registered. So for those that need to confirm, they can come and...
Yeah. So there's a website that they can go to, and so when they're there to register with us, they'll be told how they can register to see if they're not registered. Maybe they're registered in a different location, and you need to know where you're going to be registered so that you can vote appropriately, because if you're not in the right location, you won't be allowed to vote.
Okay. Now, if someone can't make it to this particular rally that's coming up in April, how can they find out about additional rallies?
So it's not just rallies that we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking some time to really identify how we want to work for Philadelphia, because, you know, we're March for Our Lives Philadelphia, and we have some very unique needs and issues that arise here. So we're going to be focused on engaging both urban and suburban communities and figuring out how to bridge the gap between the two. And so they can always come to our Facebook page. That's where we have a huge presence already. And so it's March for Our Lives Philadelphia. And just go to Facebook right there. You can always inbox us, and either Gigi, myself, Romaine, or one of our student leaders. And actually, it's the students that are will probably hit first, because our students really run all of this. Yeah. So we're just here as like figureheads today.
Because they have class.
Yeah, they have to represent.
Yeah, they have class.
Somebody's got to represent, but the students are really the ones that make all this happen.
Yeah, for sure.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So what encouragement would you give to somebody that's watching about participating and getting involved?
It's a great question. The biggest thing, and one of our students said this is a movement, not a moment. So we're not about just doing this for cameras and stopping. Inboxing our Facebook group, we've got really good response rate there. So most of our volunteers have come to us through Facebook. So I would say inbox us, let us know. We will talk to you and find out the best fit. We're still planning too. So this is a great time to get involved, because you can help us set a direction.
Awesome.
Which is awesome.
Well, I thank y'all for giving us that information so people can get more connected and get supporting. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Cool. The city of Philadelphia has cleared the way for safe injection sites for the drug users, but many details are still being worked out. We have the details right here about the Philadelphia opioid crisis.
Hi, my name is Paul Cherisher. I'm from the Philadelphia Overdose Prevention Initiative, also known as POPPY, and I'm here with Bishop Dionne Butts of Greater Restoration Worship Cathedral, who is also a drug and alcohol counselor in the area, and Dan Martino of Old Richmond Civic Association, who's currently running for the 177th District PA Assembly seat that's being vacated by the retiring John Taylor. We are here to talk about supervised injection sites, also known as supervised injection facilities, SIFs, and also in Philly, comprehensive user engagement sites, or CUEs. As most people know, after a long period of public debate that started last March, and after the eviction of the homeless encampment up in Kensington, known as El Campamento, the city announced in January that they are moving forward to assist an as yet unnamed nonprofit or a consortium of nonprofits to open one or more sites. The city has announced that it will not fund the sites, only facilitate their opening. We are now in a period of extended public debate about how to move forward, and there has been significant opposition from various sectors, the recovery community, most heavily impacted communities, geographically speaking, and various political figures. Welcome, Bishop Butts and Dan. Can you briefly tell me about how you came to take positions on supervised injection sites?
One of the things that has always been pressing for me is the substance use disorder world. And so how I actually became involved in this fight against the opioid epidemic, the safe injection sites, we have a outreach ministry by the name of Compassionate Hearts, and we are literally on the streets in Kensington providing outreach to those individuals who are actually crippled by this opioid epidemic. Soul Collective is another organization that we are very much connected with, who provides harm reduction training, who provides needle exchange and other outreach. Then offered me an opportunity to come along with this coalition and to fight this war on opioids. And so that's kind of how I really got involved.
I come from a neighborhood near Kensington, right off of Lehigh Avenue, and I joined their civic association a few years back, and I was asked to manage their town watch. And the further you look into it, you realize that there's a ever increasing heroin epidemic that's happening in Philadelphia, and we are right on the front lines of that area. And so in order to kind of manage that more responsibly, I had to look online to see what other countries or other cities and states have done to try to kind of tamp down some of that. Injection facilities was one of the things I found that seems like something that I thought Philadelphians could reasonably tolerate. So for the most part, it was just a way to address the crime that unfortunately comes with drug addiction, because it is such an expensive thing, but also to deal with the injustice and inhumanity with having people who are living on the streets We have a lot of barriers when it comes to getting into rehabilitation or housing. And those are the things that we needed to address in order to find our way out, because right now it gets worse practically every day. It seems like it gets worse. And that just doesn't, I just can't accept that. And instead of pushing it around the city, or, like we were just talking about this, it seems like gentrification is something that people have talked about as being a potential solution. And it's like, it's not really a solution. You're really just moving this problem from one area to another. Yes. And, I think we can be a lot smarter than that, or we have to be a lot smarter than that if we really want to take care of this in a responsible manner.
I definitely wanted to touch on your comment about gentrification, Dan. Over the summer, we did a brief interview with the developer of the Allegheny Plaza Shopping Center. He had some interesting insights about why changes are happening in Kensington right now.
I never thought in my lifetime I would see Kensington as being a gentrified neighborhood. But now that people are wanting to live there, and it's now become something that's positive, people say, well, why does this exist? I mean, to me, it's a sad statement that it took a gentrification for people to say, this shouldn't be.
So what do you see as the obstacles that are the chief ones that are keeping the city from moving forward and actually implementing the CUES intervention that they've talked about?
There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of hysteria around the issue. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and when there's questions that don't go answered, people make things up. They hear something like a shooting gallery or a shot clinic or something like that. They think that it's going to end up being right next to their home. But in reality, the whole point of this is to create a place where this is no longer visible to school children or to neighbors, and that's something we need to talk about.
Let's take a look at some of the footage recorded by our reporter Sterling Basil-Jones up at the site of some of the homeless encampments. He talked to many of the most impacted members of our community.
But I've heard about the safe injection sites. It's a place for us, people like us, heroin addicts, to go and, be able to be a safe place to use drugs, use the heroin. I think it's a very good thing.
Me personally, I think it's a good idea because you get to keep your eye on the people, and you basically control have a little bit of control of it. It's a lot of diseases going around too, so the needles would be inside the spot. Yeah, so that you can get rid of the needles right there, because I see kids step on them. I seen over the summertime kids stepping on needles and playing with them outside.
One of the things is the stigma that's related to substance use disorder. A lot of people are not aware or educated about the causal factors or the contributing factors about substance use disorder.
Is that we have to start listening to each other instead of screaming over each other. Listen to the people who've lived with this and talk about what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely.
Listen to, for instance, the CUES that we're talking about. They're endorsed by the American Medical Association.
Though some doctors and nurses that are still resistant to it.
Sure.
I think one of the major issue is location, because people will say, well, I don't want it in my community.
Everybody's,
right.
Nobody wants
no one wants it.
Nobody wants these at all.
Yeah.
But objective reality exists, unfortunately.
Exactly. But coming up with a solution, at the end of the day, we should be concerned about the lives of those who are, impacted by it. We should be concerned about the ramifications of us not doing something about it. People were very resistant about the whole needle exchange, but it reduced the rate of HIV.
Right.
There's no help without understanding, without awareness, and so we need to make people more aware of the benefits of the safe injection sites, because people are doing Canada, Vancouver,
Germany, Spain, Portugal,
Spain.
And this is another point too, is that people expect these to solve all our problems, and this is one tool in the toolbox. This is not going to solve everything. Essentially now we have to deal with a situation where we live in a world where heroin is a constant.
Yes.
We need to find a way to manage that so that it's not on the street killing people face down in the gutter. It's become such a problem.
You mentioned that this is programming that has been conducted for many, many years overseas. In November, I visited 2 sites, one in Amsterdam and the other in Frankfurt, and conducted brief interviews from staff members. We're now going to show you one.
I mean, we have now 9 countries in Europe who has rooms, and almost all of them are maintained on a very stable base. And for example, in the Netherlands, we had a survey under the neighborhoods of those rooms. We have about 27 rooms in the Netherlands, and all the neighbors were perfectly all right with the rooms, even if they argumented a lot before the opening. But after it runs, they are all convinced that it is a very effective tool.
Like, do they just sit around the room and inject on? They have desks, or
they have desks, and it is also for injectors and smokers at the same time. That's not a problem. We don't have medical staff. It's we only have very few emergency situations over the year, and in case of an emergency, we can call the ambulance. We will be there within 5 minutes. So it is not so expensive to run the room.
And I wanted to go back to one thing that you did say earlier, and that is that we've tried other interventions. I mean, we talked about this, that a lot of what we have now in the city, and especially up extending east on Lehigh Avenue, is a reaction to the eviction El Campamento. And there are calls now from some, even in city government, to just say, like, let's just get rid of these people. Would you have an answer for that?
Well, what does that mean, get rid of these people? You know, like, the big problem with El Campamento is that you can't keep pushing these populations to different neighborhoods, because then you're not solving anything. There's 70,000 Philadelphians right now injecting heroin. That's 1 in 22 people.
And it's a larger overdose rate than the homicide rate. You know, 64,000 when you look at it nationwide. That's
1,200 in Philadelphia with the highest overdose rate per capita in the country.
And it's difficult to beat. You know, so you can't beat them, treat them.
Are you optimistic going forward?
One of the things about the supervised injection sites is that it provides an avenue for people to get help.
You know, it acts as a bridge between active addiction and treatment.
Well, thank you both very much. It's been a very enlightening discussion, and I appreciate you appearing on this show.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
That is all we have for this episode of PhillyCAM Voices. You can watch episodes on PhillyCAM Voices on our YouTube channel, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We would love to hear your comments. We would love to hear your feedback. If you want to get involved, talk to us. Let us know you're out there. Let us know your thoughts and what you would like to do. If you want to be a part of the news team, hit us up on Facebook. And that is all that we have for today. This was such an amazing show. Hopefully you'll go and reach out to some of our people that were being interviewed today to have great things going on. So until next time, stay tuned. PhillyCAM Voices, we are out.